la vérité.
who will teach you the truth.
Voilà pourquoi nous sommes là.
That's why we are here.
Je vais dire tout simplement
I want to say
que cette majorité des personnes qui départent de l'église,
the majority of people that are leaving the church
parce que
because
ils croient que nous sommes en train d'adorer,
they believe we're worshiping a white God.
et ils n'ont pas la connaissance.
They do not know. They have no knowledge.
Le Dieu que nous sommes en train de prier,
The God that we are praying to,
il n'est même pas le Dieu des Juifs.
it is not the God of the Jews.
Il n'est même pas le Dieu des jaunes.
It is not the God of.
Il n'est même pas le Dieu des noirs.
It's not the God of blacks.
Mais il est le Dieu
It is God
de ceux qui croient.
for those who believe.
Alléluia.
Amen.
Il est le Dieu de ceux qui croient.
It is the God for those who believe.
Et maintenant,
And now,
nos frères je vais répondre à la question de notre frère,
I'll respond to your question, my brother.
frère Yves, pour ne pas éterniser la parole.
Yes.
Est-ce que tous ceux,
Is it
des personnes là, ils iront au ciel, c'est ça?
Yeah, those people that before,
C'est ça. Les personnes qui étaient avant, est-ce qu'ils vont partir au ciel
are they going to go to heaven?
quand ils vont peut-être faire la mort?
When they face
La réponse que je vais te dire tout simplement,
the answer I'm going to tell you,
le Dieu que nous sommes en train d'adorer,
the God that we're worshiping right
il a
now,
dit ceci,
He said this.
il ne tient pas compte de ton ignorance.
It is not. I don't know that word.
Ignorance.
It is not
It's
ignorance.
not taking you a side of the time of your ignorance.
It is.
That's what I was
Yes.
just thinking.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know if I'm right or not.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, il ne tient pas compte des temps d'ignorance. Donc, nos pères ou nos ancêtres qui s'étaient morts dans ce temps-là,
So our ancient fathers who died at that time,
s'ils vont partir au ciel,
if they're going to go to heaven,
s'ils étaient dans l'ignorance,
if they were in ignorance,
qu'est-ce que Dieu va faire?
what would God do?
Voilà pourquoi nous allons encore toucher
That's why we want to touch
le point de la résurrection,
the point of resurrection.
là où c'était notre point encore,
That's where the point
où nous
is.
allons encore toucher. Mais la bonne réponse que je te donne, mon frère,
That's what I want to give
c'est
you.
de dire tout simplement que notre Dieu
Our God
ne tient pas tant compte de ton ignorance.
does not
Yes.
use ignorance.
Okay.
Amen.
Right. I'm going to hand it to you.
I'll be quick.
Before we go.
Okay. I too have thought about that question as well, Heath, and I'm sure many of us as well. And in the beginning, especially, I would say even in my own ignorance, I thought, you know what, slavery's behind, we're supposed to be moving forward. But you know what, it is true, one has to learn where you're coming from to appreciate where you're going to. And when I was asking God about this personally, and I said, Lord, you know, it was absolutely atrocious, it was wicked what was done to us as black people, not just black people, the Irish and all of those other immigrants and what have you as they will call them. It was really, really wicked. But you know what made me laugh is the fact that although they were saying about a white God, we still as black people were singing the spiritual songs. Yeah, because it came from deep within. We had to sit there and listen, or they had to sit there and listen to the word of God being preached to them, but they still accepted the word. I'll go back to the forefather bit in a moment.
Yes.
But you know, they sat there and they listened to the word. And you know what? The word resided in them. And going back to the original question, what is truth? They still had the truth. Although the keeping concept, although it was the white man that brought it, the devil is a deceiver. So he was the one that twisted the word of God and thought that he was doing a disservice to the black people, but the black people actually turned around, and now the missionaries are coming from Africa to England. Huh? And the same spiritual songs is what got the black people through, what got the Irish through, what got all of those other people through was the word of God. Yeah? And that was absolutely powerful. Even with Martin Luther King. Yeah? He said, no, if you live by the sword, you shall die by the sword. Yeah? He was peaceful because it was all about God. So where they thought, but you see this, you can even hear, and when we read, and as you were saying about researching the black history and so forth, when they're talking about the white God and what have you, they were talking about, and I heard Colin Whisper saying to himself, or saying to myself as well, of Revelations where they say we'll be robed and clothed in white. You see how they just twist things, but it is the word of God they were reading, and that's why even when the black people who are falling from the church are saying that white man wrote the Bible, white man this, and what have you, to empower themselves and what have you. As I said, when I sought God, my answer to those questions, to those fellow black people, who are doing their self-empowerment, is to whose profit and to whose gain? Whose pocket is the Bible lining? It's not lying in anybody's pocket, because it's not saying it's written by a sister. It's not written by John Oswald. It's not written by this person or by that person. It's written by the inspiration of God. And there is no author, no one has put their name to it, apart from King James translating it, that there's no one benefiting from this at all, unless apart from cults and what have you, but we won't even touch onto that. But going back to the forefather part about where would they be, as Brother James quite rightly touched it, and that's what I was saying to Keller, I know Brother James will hit the nail on its head as well, is that God is the judge. And as Pastor Winty said as well, is that, you know what, if they were in ignorance, and I quickly flicked, it just come to my mind, Peter in Acts, yeah? Although he was a Jew, and, after Christ set him free and Christ had died and resurrected and gone to heaven and so forth, and then when a particular, I can't remember who it was, came back to Jerusalem and saw him sitting down there and eating with the Gentiles, they were like, what are you doing? You're eating with uncircumcised people. But again, God says, no, I will judge them. Don't worry about what they're doing. That's why he said, rise and eat all of these different things. And he was saying, this is unclean. So even what their forefathers may have been doing the time before, God is going to be the one to be judging their hearts of where they're determined to go.
Okay, thank you. Pastor Gabriel?
I've got a lot to say, but
yes, we all have a lot to say.
I'm not going to say a lot because the subject is very vast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the story, but I will just clarify something.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was with the Samaritan woman, and Jesus said to the woman, you are worshipping the thing that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the book of John chapter 4, verse 24 to 21. So, the